While the NASCAR playoffs are starting this weekend and Dale Jr. is racing tonight as of recording this video at North Wilkesboro, you'd think that a lot of racing fans would be talking about these. And while some are, there is a bit of a headline that's stealing those, and that is questioning the safety and integrity of the next-gen car. This has been a story that, in my opinion, simmered under the surface a bit for most of the season. But it kind of blew up when Kurt Busch got hurt. But a lot of fans, myself included, really hadn't kept up as much on it. We'd heard a lot of drivers expressing their thoughts on the next-gen car and crashing in it and the impact that it has. But at that point, it sort of blew up a bit to where people on a big scale were asking, hey, what's wrong here? And this past weekend, after the big one at Daytona, more and more audio from drivers in their cars, their initial reactions to wrecks, as well as what they said after the wreck in interviews, has been leaking out more and more on social media, and more fans are seeing the full extent of what's going on. And there has been some on social media who have done a really good job of getting this out to people. And there's been a lot of it compiled that we'll show today that NASCAR Man put on Twitter, as well as a post that was put on Reddit questioning why this hasn't been looked into more by a user that goes by the name Sports Ducky on the NASCAR subreddit. And really looking at what he said, a lot of it is talking about, for instance, the now disproven crash dummy theory, and I don't agree with all of it, but I think that I agree with the fact that there's been a lot of drivers speaking out for a long time about this. Look at Denny Hamlin's words last year, like he posted, that they can't get an answer over the safety concerns and driver safety is at risk. This was at Atlanta last year, and I think a lot of people thought that it had solely to do with Atlanta being turned to a super speedway and not having to do with the next-gen car. But in hindsight, it kind of matches up. And there's been a lot of different things publicized back and forth since then. But now, 26 races into the season, a lot of the rumors feel like they're not exactly proven 100% right. But at the same time, you definitely have a bit of warmth when you're looking for it. NASCAR did tons of different tests, but a lot of them were simulation tests. And based on a lot of reporting and some questioning, it seems like there weren't as many real-life tests because of, they say COVID, as well as cost-cutting measures. Remember that the next-gen car had a part shortage issue leading up to this season throughout its entire process. So a lot of people are questioning just how much NASCAR actually did to make sure these cars were ready. I think this all needs to be talked about, and NASCAR needs to get a hold of this right now and figure out a way to reassure fans, because right now fans are losing faith that the sanctioning body is actually paying attention. And while I think NASCAR is doing stuff behind the scenes to fix this, a silent treatment to those who are asking, especially drivers, is something that's not going to have people happy or reassured in any way, but instead is going to get people even more and more displeasure with it. Fans, I think, have every reason to question NASCAR right now. We've seen one of our champions taken out for an indefinite amount of time because of one of these accidents. We've seen a lot of our younger drivers feeling more and more hurt throughout the season, when at the age you're at now, they shouldn't be feeling that way. The general line we keep hearing from drivers is, "That was the hardest hit I've ever had." That's not something I think you want to hear from any driver from what are run-of-the-mill, relatively mundane crashes for NASCAR standard. And for me, this is where NASCAR Man's really important Twitter thread comes into effect.
Yeah, I think we've heard too through the grapevine some concerns about Williams' crash and the force that he took in that wreck, and it's the product of obviously the bumpers got give, but through the grapevine you're hearing the chassis may be a little more rigid, so it's not. Yes, you're getting that initial give from the bumper, but then you're still absorbing a lot of the impact because the car itself is so rigid.
And you feel okay?
Yeah, okay. All good. That was hard. That was the hardest hit I've had. So I think that was harder than poking up.
Here, half back, look at top. Keep in your mirror. Look at top, outside. Keep coming. Middle. Keep going middle. Get it through the line. Here's a new P1. Try, but I don't know if I can take him any more fucking hits like that. 10-4.
Christopher Bell, after the All-Star race, had said both of them, from the outside looking in, does not look like a hard impact, but it absolutely felt way harder than any other car that I've backed into the fence before in NASCAR. Joey Logano, after the 600, said, "I've never hit harder in my life. That was horrible, and it hurt really bad. These cars, they hit harder than ever. They hit really, really hard. They're super solid. It hurts." Kurt Busch got a concussion after he hit with his right rear at Pocono at over 25 Gs. Now, his injuries have been blamed on hard hits at both Atlanta races as well as Darlington, but still, it's not exactly normal to see somebody who has not had a past of concussions that take them out the way Kurt Busch has been.
I've had a lot of conversations with the drivers that I'm affiliated with, and I've had a lot of conversations with Jeff Burton around this, and all that I keep hearing back is that if the hit is not massive, the driver gets the brunt of the force. He feels it a ton, but if the hit is hard enough to actually really go in there and move the barriers, the data shows that it's not as hard on the driver. It's hard to say what's going on here. I mean, obviously you don't want our drivers saying that it hurts, but the data keeps showing, and I hate to say that because I don't see what they see, and I don't know what they know.
Freddie has that issue too.
But the data keeps saying and showing that in these scenarios, the driver is not going to get hurt. And as weird as that may sound, it hurts the driver, but they're not going to face an injury. Even Jeff and I were talking about if they back the car into the wall, it is potentially, with this particular car and the way our safety walls are designed, the hardest hit a driver can make in these cars as far as what the driver is going to feel. But yet in every one of these scenarios, backing it into the wall, despite the fact that it hurts the driver the most, it actually doesn't injure the driver in any of those scenarios.
And yet we see the Larson hit with Ty Dillon, and they're both Dillon sore, but no significant injuries.
That's the justification.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm like, I don't know what to think about this car. Like there seems to be things that you're like, gosh, that need to be fixed. And then there you see something like what Larson and Ty Dillon go through, and I wonder whether I'm making too much noise.
I don't think you're making enough noise. It's never the first line item on the to-do list. So, I can tell you from a driver, every time I hit something, it's a lot harsher than any hit that I took in any of the other cars. The only thing I can compare it to is hitting a concrete wall compared to what it used to be. So, I think that's the issue. It's not, you look at the cars and they're like, oh man, they look great. That's the problem. Nothing flew off of it, right? That's the problem, and all that energy is absorbed through you. So it feels like you get hit by the hammer and the car survives, but is that really what you want? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, I felt like it was pretty hard hit for as soft as it was, so hopefully we can figure out how to make these things softer and preserve the lives of the drivers. I feel like that's the most important thing. I feel like we're seeing it from everybody, so all prayers to Kurt, but we'll be good.
Down hard, keep coming hard, easy, watch in front of you. All right, just get it rolling. Still piling in, raining over here. Get it rolling, it's going to rain like a motherfucker right here. NASCAR, these fucking cars suck when you get hit in the rear. Never thought I'd get the breath knocked out of me getting hit in the rear.
Top it, point inside, just one inside. They're wrecked. Hang on to it there. Rain, are you okay? Yeah, you okay? Catch your breath. Talk to me when you can.
Fucking hurt.
And Christopher Bell also followed this up recently by saying, I think it is a really, really big deal, and it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. I know the few small hits I've taken, you feel it a lot more, and most of the time, it is in your head, not in your body. Now, I think a lot of this all comes from hitting in the rear of the car, which makes it really terrifying because say you have an Eric Almirola Kansas crash in 2017 today, well, it might be a lot worse than a broken back, especially if it's like Bell said, and it's going directly to the driver's head. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of push back on this and say, well, it's just Kurt Busch. He's an older guy that got hurt. Or, oh, it's Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. They're complaining. But when you look at the amount of drivers who have said something that are just in these clips alone, it's astounding how many of them are young. Now, yeah, Kurt Busch is 44, Kevin Harvick's 46, and Denny Hamlin's 41. But look at the others that are involved. Joey Logano, a 32-year-old. Bubba Wallace, a 28-year-old. Christopher Bell, 27. William Byron, 24. Ty Gibbs, 19. These are not old drivers. These are drivers who are part of NASCAR's current youth movement, talking about the fact that they are taking way harder hits than ever, and they're feeling the brunt of it through the week as well as through the season. I'm not saying that I'm making some groundbreaking statement here, but I think fans need to ask why this is happening. This isn't something that we can just gloss over and just take NASCAR's word on the entire time if the evidence is contrary to what they're saying. So that's where I'm going to leave it off to you. Ask questions. Why is this happening? Why is this something that seems to only have been getting worse as the season goes on? Please, those are questions you have to ask. And maybe if there's answers, let me know in the comments down below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you to all my channel members so much for your support. And everyone, be sure to watch a NASCAR Weekly podcast tonight on Black Flags Matters channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk all about this as well as a lot more. So until then, have a good one.